data problems, well, plenty of them. It seems like on in your field, and we talked about how a lot of data-oriented young professionals are going to, the big tech sector, but more and more the big tech is becoming energy dependent. So perhaps we can create those challenges in our industry to have them tackle the data challenges that our industry is facing. So on that, Armando, do you have any thoughts to attract those types of young guns and professionals and to
I mean, it's I feel like it's one of the areas where our industry isn't necessarily calling to, the data scientists and the computer engineers that we tend to see going to big tech, right? And
yeah.
part of it is because energy isn't always the most glamorous or
Yet,
yeah,
yet,
yeah,
It isn't. It isn't.
right?
yet. But this conversation reminds me of something Bill Gates used to say when I was first starting my career 30 years ago in the tech sector. He was back in the mid 90s complaining that the brightest minds were going to Wall Street instead of going to tech. That changed about 15 years later. About 15 years ago, they started going into Silicon Valley instead of, Manhattan and big, Wall Street guys. A lot of bright guys started coming to Silicon Valley ecosystem. But I think the next phase of that hopefully could be our industry.
Yeah,
So yeah,
one of the big things to me is always as an engineer, one of the things that I value is seeing, what we're the product of what we're putting into the ground and the longevity to it. A lot of,
yeah,
tech and I don't mean to this to be in any way disparaging, but a
yeah,
lot of it tends to, go up and go away fairly quickly, whether it's apps
mhm,
or some startups, right?
mhm,
With
yeah,
energy, it tends to be something that has longevity, as
for
well
sure.
as we're always going to need it. As time progresses, the need for energy continues to grow. It's not going away. It's one of the pillars of our our
Evolution.
livelihood, our industry, our future, and it really feeds to no matter what you go into, it's there. We need it, right? The lights are on in this room. The lights are on powering this recording.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's really it really speaks
yeah.
to that. So when it comes to a call to attract that talent, there's that opportunity of all of the unknowns that haven't been really discovered yet or really explored, because one of the things that really enlightens me about the ideas and innovations that Jimena, as a example, has brought forward is how we can leverage these new technologies and providers, which is still even very early on, to
Mhm.
make value of things for our industry. The solar industry has been building projects the same for the past 15, 20 plus years. A module gets connected, goes to an inverter, reports data, how it's generating, and that's pretty much it, right? You've seen progress in inverters, modules, etc., tracking systems. But at the end of the day, all of that stuff stayed the same. We're still going through the same maintenance.
Except the sizes. The sizes of the sites have grown substantially. I'll say that because I had some mentors, like the biggest site they had built a couple of years ago was 10, 20 megawatts, and now we're hitting like 800 and above. So I'll just say that the size has definitely changed and the speed of growth
Yeah.
of our
And
Yeah,
industry.
and that's a good point, right? It's You're still seeing that massive amount of land, but it's obviously a lot more dense when it comes to the energy per acre. And I think
yeah,
that's where we've seen a big part of that transition. But to the point of where what value individuals can bring and this new talent, coming out of school can bring is looking at how they can make our industry more efficient, right? We're looking at putting in new solar parks, all across the U.S. and globally. But we're very quickly going to see that we're going to repower a lot of these older parks to be make them even better and bigger because the need for energy continues to grow. Right? We're quote unquote running out of land, or really not. but we can make the land that we've already used even more efficient. Finding ways to make that cost effective is really in the data. And all of that starts from being smart about how we maintain it, looking at what attributes we have with certain equipment and how long it lasts, to not just speak back to any specific manufacturer and say this is a great product, or hey, I really like to see some improvements as we move forward into the next iteration and next version. So it really helps all across the board our industry move forward.
What a great call out to data scientists who want to enter our industry. Thank you for that, for those last words, Armando.